Captain Wilson was unconscious. The co-pilot was having a heart attack. 180 passengers at 30,000 feet were staring death in the face. When the flight attendant asked over the intercom, "Is there a pilot on board?" a woman in business class raised her hand and said, "Top Gun graduate. Welcome to the human stories." Before we begin this powerful story of courage, hidden talent, and unforgettable heroism, please tell us in the comments which city you're watching from today. And if you believe stories like this need to be told, hit that subscribe button and help us make sure these stories are never forgotten. American Airlines Flight 447 from Dallas to Los Angeles seemed like any other routine flight. The Boeing 737-800 was at full capacity with 180 passengers. Business travelers, vacationers, students, all heading to the West Coast for different reasons. The woman sitting in seat 12A didn't look much different from the others. Sarah Mitchell, 34 years old, with dark hair pulled back in a neat bun, wearing clean jeans and a simple black blouse, gave the impression of just another ordinary passenger. She held an aviation magazine but wasn't reading it. Her eyes were on the clouds outside, but her mind was somewhere entirely different. To flight attendant Jennifer, Sarah was just a quiet passenger. She hadn't called for service since takeoff, only requesting water. Not using her phone, not watching movies, just staring out of the window. But Sarah's perspective was completely different. She was analyzing every engine sound, every bit of turbulence, every small vibration. This was the habit of someone who had done military aviation for 15 years. Someone who had flown F-16 Fighting Falcons and served in combat zones. Those reflexes never fade. But nobody knew any of this. Sarah Mitchell was now a retired pilot. Officially working as an aviation consultant, she was actually trying to live a quiet life. Her war years were behind her. She was just a normal citizen now. The aircraft was cruising peacefully at 35,000 feet. Captain Richard Wilson was an experienced pilot with a 25-year career. Co-pilot Chen was young but talented. At 2:30 p.m., 2 hours after departure from Dallas, the routine flight suddenly changed. Captain Wilson suddenly grabbed his head. He was experiencing a severe headache. "Dave," he said to the co-pilot, "something's wrong." Chen noticed the pilot looked pale. "Captain, are you okay?" Wilson couldn't respond before closing his eyes and slumping forward in his seat. He was unconscious. "Mayday! Mayday!" David immediately grabbed the radio. "This is American 447. Our captain is unconscious, requesting emergency landing." Air traffic control responded immediately. "American 447, understood. Nearest airport is Phoenix Sky Harbor, transmitting route information." David tried to stay as calm as possible. As co-pilot, he could handle this situation. But then he started feeling strange himself. He was having trouble breathing. "No, no," he murmured. His heart was racing. There was pain in his left arm. Chen, 29 years old, was having a heart attack. Flight attendant Jennifer saw David emerging from the cockpit in a panic state. "What's happening?" she asked. "Captain passed out and I'm..." "Heart." David couldn't finish his words before collapsing to the floor. Jennifer's world went dark. Both pilots were down. 180 passengers at 35,000 feet in an aircraft, with no one flying it. The autopilot system kept the plane in level flight, but fuel was running low. Landing procedures had to be done manually, and there was no one to do it. Jennifer took the microphone, her voice trembling. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have an emergency situation. Is there anyone on board with a pilot's license? Please identify yourself." The cabin immediately erupted in panic. Children started crying. Adults hugged each other. Everyone was thinking the same thing. They were going to die. Then a calm voice rose from seat 12A. "I'm here." Sarah Mitchell stood up. There was no fear on her face, only determination. Jennifer looked at Sarah in shock. "Are you a pilot?" "Yes. I have military aviation background. I flew F-16s for 15 years. Some passengers in the cabin looked with hope, others with suspicion. An elderly man raised his voice. "What can this woman accomplish? Isn't there an experienced male pilot?" Sarah calmly responded, "I can land this aircraft, but we need to act now." Jennifer was still unsure. "Are you really a pilot? Do you have any documentation?" Sarah showed her old military ID from her wallet. "Top Gun graduate Captain Sarah Mitchell, retired Air Force." Jennifer's eyes widened. Top Gun was the world's most prestigious pilot training school. Only the best pilots were accepted there. "Let's get to the cockpit," Sarah said. "We're losing time." When Sarah entered the cockpit, she quickly assessed the situation. Captain Wilson was still unconscious, but breathing. Co-pilot David had been moved to the cabin by Jennifer and another passenger. Sarah sat in the pilot's seat. She placed her hands on the controls. After 15 years, old habits came back. "American 447, this is Phoenix Control," came the voice over the radio. "What's your status?" Sarah took the microphone. "Phoenix Control, this is American 447. I'm Captain Mitchell, taking control of the aircraft. Requesting emergency landing. American 447. Can you confirm your credentials? Top Gun graduate, F-16 pilot, 15 years military aviation experience. I can safely land this aircraft." The control tower operator was surprised, but understood the seriousness of the situation. "Understood, Captain Mitchell. We're opening a landing corridor for you." Sarah examined the aircraft's systems. Fuel level was low, but they could make it to Phoenix. Weather conditions were good. The biggest problem was that passengers were in panic mode. Sarah opened the microphone and spoke to the cabin. "Dear passengers, this is Captain Sarah Mitchell. I have 15 years of military aviation experience. I will safely land this aircraft at Phoenix Airport." Her voice carried confidence. No panic, just professional calm. "Please fasten your seatbelts. Listen to flight attendant instructions. Everything is under control." The elderly man spoke up again. "Can a woman handle this?" "This is very dangerous," Sarah responded. "Sir, I've made landings in combat zones under enemy fire. This aircraft is much easier than those situations." These words calmed the cabin. Children stopped crying. Adults took deep breaths. Jennifer was amazed by Sarah. This woman's experience and composure were real. Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport initiated emergency protocols. Fire, ambulance, and rescue teams stood ready on the runways. Sarah took manual control of the aircraft. She disengaged autopilot. She had control of a real aircraft in her hands. "Phoenix Control, ready for landing," Sarah said. "American 447, runway 8R is clear. Wind 10 knots from the southwest." Sarah began descending the aircraft. The 737's controls were different from an F-16, but the basic principles were the same. Speed, altitude, position. She was calculating everything in her mind. In the cabin, passengers held their breath. Below, the lights of Phoenix City were visible. Landing gear deploying. Sarah reported the status. She was executing every procedure perfectly. The aircraft approached the runway. Sarah reduced throttle, adjusted nose angle. After 15 years, it was as if she had never stopped. The wheels touched the runway. It was a perfect landing. The aircraft came to a safe stop. The cabin filled with applause and joy. Everyone stood up, looking at Sarah with gratitude. After the aircraft stopped, emergency teams immediately went into action. Captain Wilson and David Chen were taken to the hospital by ambulance. Both were alive. When Sarah emerged from the cockpit, 180 passengers gave her a standing ovation. The elderly man, the most skeptical person, approached Sarah. "Ma'am," he said with tears in his eyes, "I owe you a huge apology. You are a true hero." Sarah smiled modestly. "I just did my duty." Jennifer also approached Sarah. "Captain Mitchell, without you, we all would have died. I don't know how to thank you." "No need," Sarah said. "I was trained for this." The airport security director came to Sarah. "Captain Mitchell, the media wants to see you. This will be big news." Sarah shook her head. "I don't speak to media. I just want to go home." The next day, news programs told the story of the hidden hero. When Sarah Mitchell's background was investigated, surprising details emerged. She had graduated first in her Top Gun class. She had served in combat missions in Iraq and Afghanistan. 127 successful combat flights, 5 distinguished flying crosses. Military records listed her as one of the most skilled combat pilots. But Sarah had never talked about any of this. After retiring, she wanted a quiet life and had kept her past hidden. Phoenix television stations tried to find Sarah, but she had already gone to Los Angeles, returning to her normal life. Her only statement was a brief sentence at the airport. "Everyone is alive. That's enough." A week later, Sarah was sitting at home drinking tea. Her doorbell rang. Jennifer was standing outside. "Captain Mitchell," Jennifer said, "I wanted to thank you." Sarah let her in. "It wasn't necessary, Jennifer." "It was," Jennifer said firmly. 180 people owe you their lives, including me." Sarah looked out the window. "Jennifer, I just did what was right. I was trained for this." "But nobody knew. You were sitting as an ordinary passenger. Why didn't you tell anyone?" Sarah smiled. "Because, Jennifer, true heroes don't announce themselves. They only emerge when needed." Jennifer understood. "You're always living among us, aren't you? Heroes we can't recognize." "Yes," Sarah said. "On the street, in stores, on buses, on planes. We're everywhere. You just don't see us." As Jennifer was leaving, she looked at Sarah one last time. "Thank you, Captain, both for your heroism on the flight and for what you taught us." As Sarah closed the door, she thought, perhaps the greatest power was hiding your power. 2 months later, Sarah was on another plane, this time going to New York. As a normal passenger in seat 23C, the flight attendant didn't know who she was. Other passengers didn't notice either. But Sarah was there, as she always was, because that's how real heroes are. They always live among us, quietly, humbly, and when needed, they save lives. Have you ever wondered about who that ordinary-looking person sitting next to you really is? Maybe they too have the skills to save your life. If this story touched you, share your thoughts in the comments. And if you know of hidden heroes too, tell their stories. Because at the Human Stories, we believe these quiet heroes should never be forgotten. Don't forget to subscribe. Because the stories of people like Sarah Mitchell should be remembered not just in crisis moments, but every day.